We often look at a massive follower count and assume that number represents an active community. But a high follower count is a vanity metric. Having a large following usually just means you have a passive audience. The human brain averages an 8-second attention span, and we are biologically wired to filter out massive amounts of digital information almost instantly. To bypass that biological filter, you have to hook a viewer in the first 3 seconds. And because most users are scrolling on mobile devices, that hook needs a vertical orientation to command the screen. You also have to assume they aren't listening. About 85% of social media video is watched with the sound turned off, making burned-in captions a strict technical requirement for engagement. When deciding what to show on screen, prioritize people over places. Faces, especially smiling ones, consistently hold human attention longer than logos, buildings, or abstract imagery. The job of social media is to grab attention and prompt an immediate click-through. The real conversion, whether it's a form fill, an inquiry, or an application, takes place on the web page, not the post itself. But what happens to that attention when the content stops? In a typical group, the moment the creator goes quiet, engagement drops to 0. This is the empty room scenario. A WhatsApp group might boast 500 members, but if there is 0 crosstalk between those individuals, it suffers from the vanity metric gap. It is an audience wearing a community's clothing. The difference comes down to the actual value being exchanged. An audience extracts information and entertainment. A true community exchanges belonging, support, and identity. An audience watches you, while a community talks to each other because of you. Mastering the hook gets people in the door, but a hook alone cannot sustain a group's long-term survival. To figure out what kind of group you actually manage, you can apply the direction test. You simply observe whether the primary flow of interaction is one-to-many or many-to-many. Different platforms are optimized to drive these different directions. TikTok excels at reaching a massive, passive demographic for top-of-funnel awareness, while platforms like Facebook offer the architecture needed for horizontal, member-to-member discussion. This visualization shows the reciprocity ratio, the total number of member-to-member replies divided by the total replies in a group. Tracking this reveals whether your members are actually engaging with their peers, rather than just speaking to the admin. This network map illustrates a healthy many-to-many structure. The central brand node isn't broadcasting to isolated individuals. Instead, it mediates and facilitates connections across the entire web of users. The goal is to move your primary key performance indicator from reach to reciprocity. When members form the habit of talking to each other, the group can survive even if the administrator steps away. Shifting a group toward this networked structure requires a deliberate redirection of where attention flows. You can start by refusing to be the only person with the answers. When someone posts a question the group could solve, redirect it to the peers. You should also name and credit contributors. People invest far more effort in a space where their peers can visibly see and validate their input. This also requires creating recurring reasons for members to talk to one another. Stand up a weekly prompt, designate a peer shoutout slot, or pin a member-led discussion thread. If a manager acts as a single point of contact and answers every question in 30 seconds, they accidentally suppress horizontal conversation. Deliberately stepping back allows true community behavior to emerge. When attention is distributed across a group rather than focused on a single point, you gain a layer of organizational insulation. During a data breach or a PR scandal, an audience of passive observers often flees immediately. A community, built on the reciprocity and shared support we've just discussed, is more likely to stay and wait for facts. To maintain that trust under pressure, you must establish a cross-functional crisis communication team. Leadership, public relations, legal, and human resources need predefined roles before an incident occurs. When an event strikes, your priority is to communicate early, often, and honestly. Taking the first move prevents rumors and misinformation from filling the silence and allows you to shape the public perception. Your messaging must also lead with empathy. You have to acknowledge the emotional impact the crisis is having on your stakeholders and demonstrate that the organization genuinely cares about those affected. This also includes a robust internal strategy. Your employees and members need accurate information first, as they will be the ones fielding questions from partners and the public. Managing a crisis through transparency and consistency protects the reputation you've built. It ensures the organization can recover quickly while maintaining the trust of the community. Anyone can use a 3-second hook to capture attention and build an audience, but the actual job of a community manager is to be an architect, building a resilient system of connections that keeps working long after you've left the room.